There is a profound, almost magical connection that forms when you start to make your own garden fertilizer. It is a quiet act of transformation, turning what many would consider waste into a source of life and vitality for your plants. You are no longer just a consumer, buying bags and bottles from a garden center. Instead, you become a creator, an alchemist in your own back garden, closing a beautiful natural loop. The peel from your morning banana, the grounds from your coffee, the eggshells from breakfast. These are not rubbish. They are the building blocks of a richer, healthier soil. This process connects you more deeply to your garden's rhythms and needs. The difference between homemade and shop-bought fertilizers is quite stark when you look closely. Commercial fertilizers often deliver a powerful, fast-acting jolt of nutrients. This can seem impressive at first, but it can also be harsh on the delicate ecosystem of your soil. It is like giving a person a sugary energy drink instead of a balanced, wholesome meal. Your own organic creations, however, work in a much gentler, more holistic way. They feed the soil, not just the plant. They encourage the worms, the microbes, and all the tiny life that creates a truly resilient and fertile growing medium for years to come. Think of it this way: you are building a living pantry for your plants. The materials you add decompose slowly, releasing their nutrients over time as your plants require them. This slow-release method prevents the risk of burning your plants with an overdose of chemicals, a common problem for beginners using synthetic products. It also improves the very structure of your soil, helping it to hold water more effectively and resist compaction. You are not just feeding your plants for this season. You are investing in the long-term health and fertility of your patch of earth, creating a legacy of good soil for the future. Furthermore, making your own fertilizer is an act of genuine empowerment and sustainability. It reduces your household waste, lessening the burden on landfills. It saves you money, freeing up your budget for more seeds or a lovely new trowel. Most importantly, it gives you complete control over what goes into your garden and ultimately, into the food you eat. There are no mysterious chemicals, no hidden ingredients. There is only the simple, honest goodness of nature, recycled by your own hands. It is a rewarding skill that brings you closer to the earth with every handful of compost you create. Seedlings are the babies of the plant world, and they require the gentlest of care. When they first sprout, they have all the food they need packed inside their seed. But as they develop their first true leaves, they will need a very light meal to help them along. A strong, chemical-heavy fertilizer at this stage would be far too much for their delicate new roots to handle. It would be like trying to feed a newborn a steak dinner. We must provide just a whisper of nourishment, something that encourages steady, strong growth without overwhelming the young plant. The goal is to build resilience from the very beginning. A perfect first feed for seedlings is a very weak compost tea or a specially prepared light mix. You do not want to give them a rich, heavy diet. For a simple dry mix, you can create something wonderfully gentle. Take 1 part well-sifted, mature compost. Make sure it is fine and crumbly with no large, undecomposed bits. To this, add 1 part vermiculite or perlite, which helps with drainage and aeration, preventing the soil from becoming too dense. Finally, add just a tiny pinch of bone meal for phosphorus, which is vital for strong root development. It is a simple recipe, but it provides everything a young plant needs. When it is time to apply this food, less is always more. If you are potting on your seedlings into slightly larger containers, you can mix this gentle blend directly into your potting soil. Use about 1 tablespoon of your homemade mix for every liter of potting compost. This ensures the nutrients are distributed evenly and are available as the roots grow outwards. If your seedlings are already in their pots and just need a little boost, you can use a technique called top dressing. Carefully sprinkle a very thin layer, perhaps half a teaspoon's worth, around the base of each plant, being careful not to let it touch the stem. After top dressing, water the seedlings gently. This helps to wash the nutrients down into the soil where the roots can access them. Always use water at room temperature, as cold water can shock the young plants. Watch them closely over the next week or two. You should see them respond with healthy, vibrant green growth. This gentle, early feeding sets the stage for a robust and productive life. You are teaching the plant, in its infancy, that it lives in a nurturing and supportive environment, which is the very foundation of good gardening. Leafy greens like lettuce, spinach, and kale have one primary job: to produce lots of lush green leaves. To do this, they crave one nutrient above all others: nitrogen. Nitrogen is the engine of leafy growth. A simple and effective way to provide this is with a mix rich in nitrogen sources. For a good batch of leafy green fertilizer, start with a base of 2 parts mature compost. To this, add 1 part used coffee grounds. Coffee grounds are a fantastic, slow-release source of nitrogen. To round out the blend, add 1 part crushed eggshells, which provide a welcome dose of calcium, helping to build strong cell walls and prevent issues like tip burn in lettuce. Fruiting vegetables, such as tomatoes, peppers, and cucumbers, have different needs altogether. While they require some nitrogen for initial leafy growth, their main focus shifts once they begin to flower and set fruit. At this point, they need less nitrogen and more phosphorus and potassium. Phosphorus is crucial for developing strong root systems and encouraging abundant flowers, while potassium is vital for fruit development, taste, and overall plant health. Giving them too much nitrogen at this stage will result in a beautiful, bushy plant with very few fruits, which is always a gardener's disappointment. We must tailor the diet to the plant's life stage. A splendid recipe for these fruiting plants can be made with a little planning. Begin with 2 parts of your standard compost. Now for that crucial phosphorus and potassium boost, add 1 part wood ash from a fireplace or bonfire. Just make sure it's from untreated wood only. Wood ash is rich in potassium. Then add 1 part bone meal, which is an excellent source of phosphorus. For an extra kick of potassium, you can also incorporate finely chopped or powdered banana peels. Mix these ingredients thoroughly, and you have a powerhouse meal ready for your hungriest fruiting crops. Apply these custom blends when you first plant your vegetables out in the garden, mixing a generous handful into the soil of each planting hole. This gives them a strong start. Then, as the plants begin to mature, you can side dress them every 4 to 6 weeks. To do this, simply scratch a shallow trench in a circle a few inches away from the plant's main stem. Sprinkle the fertilizer into the trench and cover it back up with soil. Water it in well. This method delivers the food directly to the root zone, ensuring your plants get exactly what they need, right when they need it, for a truly magnificent harvest. Root crops like carrots, beetroot, and parsnips are grown for what happens beneath the soil. Our goal is to encourage them to develop large, healthy, and flavorful roots. To achieve this, we must manage their diet carefully. Unlike leafy greens, root vegetables do not need a lot of nitrogen. In fact, too much nitrogen will cause them to put all their energy into producing a big, bushy top of green leaves, while the root below remains small and disappointing. Instead, they need a fertilizer that is rich in phosphorus for robust root development and calcium for strong cell structure. A superb blend for these underground treasures focuses on these key nutrients. Start with your base of 2 parts, good compost. To this, add 2 parts bone meal. Bone meal is the star ingredient here, providing a fantastic, slow-release source of phosphorus that will fuel that all-important root growth. Then add 1 part crushed eggshells for calcium. This simple but effective mixture provides exactly what the plants need to swell and sweeten under the soil. When preparing your vegetable bed, work this mixture into the top 4 to 6 inches of soil before you sow your seeds. This ensures the nutrients are available from the moment the taproot begins its journey downwards. Fruit trees are a long-term investment, and their nutritional needs change throughout the seasons and their lifespan. When you first plant a young tree, your focus should be on establishing a strong root system. A fertilizer high in phosphorus, similar to the root crop mix, is ideal. Mix a good amount of bone meal and compost into the planting hole. For the first few years, an annual spring feeding with a balanced compost is sufficient to encourage steady growth. As the tree matures and begins to bear fruit, its requirements will become more specific and demanding, calling for a more structured feeding plan. For a mature fruit-bearing tree, a seasonal feeding plan works wonders. In early spring, before the buds break, give it a feed rich in nitrogen to support the growth of new leaves and shoots. A generous top dressing of rich compost mixed with a nitrogen source like chicken manure pellets is perfect. Then, in early summer, as the fruits are beginning to form, switch to a fertilizer high in potassium. A good application of wood ash or a liquid feed made from comfrey will help the fruits to swell and develop a wonderful flavor. Apply this fertilizer around the tree's drip line, the area on the ground directly beneath the outermost branches, where the feeder roots are most active. Sometimes your plants need a quick pick-me-up, a boost of energy that is immediately available to them. This is where liquid fertilizers truly shine. Unlike dry fertilizers that release their nutrients slowly, liquid feeds are absorbed almost instantly by the plant's roots, and even by its leaves if used as a foliar spray. They are the perfect solution for giving a hungry plant a fast meal, helping a struggling plant recover, or providing a targeted nutrient boost at a critical stage of growth, such as flowering or fruiting. Crafting these liquid tonics is surprisingly simple and incredibly effective. One of the easiest and most beneficial liquid feeds you can make is banana peel tea. Bananas are famously rich in potassium, a nutrient that is essential for flowers and fruit. To make it, simply take the peels from 4 or 5 bananas and place them in a large jar or bucket. Cover them with about 4 liters of water and put a lid on it, but not too tightly. Let this mixture sit and ferment for about a week. It will start to smell a bit funky, which is a good sign that the nutrients are being extracted into the water. After a week, strain the liquid to remove the old peels. Another fantastic liquid fertilizer can be made from nettles. Stinging nettles, often seen as a pesky weed, are actually packed with nitrogen and other valuable minerals. To make nettle tea, you will need to wear gloves. Gather a large bundle of young nettle plants and stuff them into a bucket. Weigh them down with a brick or a large stone and cover them completely with water. Let this potent brew steep for 2 to 3 weeks. It will develop a very strong smell, but your nitrogen-loving plants, like leafy greens, will absolutely adore it. This is a powerful tonic for promoting vigorous leafy growth. Before you use these homemade liquid fertilizers, it is crucial to dilute them. They are very concentrated and can burn your plants if applied neat. A good rule of thumb is to dilute them with water at a ratio of 1 part fertilizer to 10 parts water. The resulting liquid should look like weak tea. You can then use this diluted mixture to water the base of your plants every 2 weeks during the growing season. This regular, gentle feeding will result in visibly healthier, stronger, and more productive plants. It's a simple, free, and sustainable way to give your garden a powerful boost. Proper storage is key to preserving the goodness of your homemade fertilizers. For your dry mixes, find a dry, cool place away from direct sunlight, such as a garden shed or a garage. Use sturdy containers with tight-fitting lids, like old buckets or plastic tubs, to keep moisture and pests out. It is absolutely essential to label each container clearly. Write down the ingredients and the date you made the mix. You might think you will remember what is in each bucket, but after a few weeks, one brown earthy mixture can look very much like another. Good labeling prevents confusion and ensures you give the right food to the right plant. When it comes to your liquid fertilizers, like compost tea or banana peel tea, storage is a bit different. These are living brews and are best used fresh for maximum benefit. If you need to store them for a short period, keep them in a cool, dark place with the lid slightly loose to allow gases to escape. Do not store them for more than a few days, as they can lose their potency and begin to smell quite unpleasant. For hygiene, always use dedicated buckets and watering cans for your fertilizers. Keep them separate from the tools you use for clean water to avoid any cross-contamination, and always wash your hands thoroughly after handling them. Knowing how and when to apply fertilizer is just as important as the recipe itself. The best time to feed your plants is typically in the morning or evening, avoiding the heat of the midday sun. This prevents the moisture from evaporating too quickly and reduces the risk of scorching the leaves. Always water your plants before applying any kind of fertilizer, whether it is dry or liquid. Applying feed to dry soil can damage the delicate roots. Think of it as not wanting to eat a large meal when you are terribly thirsty. Water first, then feed. Finally, the joy of gardening is multiplied when it is shared. As you become more confident in making and using your own fertilizers, do not keep the knowledge to yourself. Talk to your neighbors over the garden fence. Share a bucket of your special tomato blend or a bottle of your potent nettle tea. Join a local gardening club or an online community. By sharing your successes and even your failures, you contribute to a wider pool of wisdom. This connection with others, this shared passion for nurturing the earth, is one of the most rewarding parts of being a gardener. It transforms a solitary hobby into a vibrant, supportive community.